So I have two thoughts for you today. One, it's about being controlling. Being controlling shows a real lack of faith, and it can be a side effect from having a lack of faith for a good reason. Like, for instance, having faith in people. When people have let you down and played around with your feelings or messed you up somehow, you do not want to give them control. Most of the time, it ends up with you being a person who says things like, if you want something done, you have to do it yourself. Or a person who tries to micromanage every situation. And it makes perfect sense because you feel like, at least if I do it, I know I'm going to try my best. Even though there are variables that might mess you up, you're more confident in yourself than in leaving things to others. But how does that work when the faith is supposed to be in God? That's the question, and that's the meditation. Does being controlling show a lack of faith? The answer is yes. I just explained why. So now in your own life, you have to think about, well, what do I need to let go of, or what am I trying to control that I can't really control, or how is my being controlling showing a lack of faith and trust in God? And in order to build faith, you have to pray for faith, and you have to keep researching God, understanding who He is and why you can trust Him. Because our natural inclination, due to free will, is to do our own will and to trust our own opinions. But in the end, our own opinions cannot save us, as is clearly obvious. Are you and me more special than any other human being on the earth who is struggling right now? It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, you are slowly deteriorating, which means you are struggling. Okay, and the next thought that I had was Jesus said you cannot serve two masters. Either you will love the one and hate the other, or however he said it, the point is that you would despise one and love one. And this is what people are trying to do so much today, and it's killing them because they're at war within themselves and they're not trying to let good win the war. They have a war with good and evil inside of them, and they ain't sure who they want to win. Now, at the end of the day, all of us have a war. The only difference between a good person and a wicked person is the person that is trying to be good, whereas another person does not care. So, I'll give you an example. You will see people tell you they're trying to seek God and stuff, but that they have a wild side. But everybody has different aspects of their personality and of their physical makeup. But when you see a person willing to go against what God says in order to satisfy whatever physical needs they may have, then you understand what I'm saying about your mind and what you are doing here. You are serving two masters. And this is a difficult lesson because everybody likes the sound of saying they want to serve God. That's like how people don't like the sound of the word racist, but yet they like the look of not being black. We can see it here with this saga that's unfolding with Cleopatra and Egypt right now. Egypt, yes, you're on the edge of Africa. You're next to Sudan, I think, which is also full with black people. Biblically, all the women would be mostly Ham children, but some are Shem children in there too. And I'm sure Japheth had children of all colors as well, because that's how genes worked back then. But whatever. It makes you more comfortable because it's socially acceptable to be lighter. But the thing about it is that how does that benefit you? It doesn't. It causes division. It causes issues. So why are you doing it? Because you're looking at what's socially acceptable. You're serving two masters. You're creating a war within yourself. Because by saying that lighter is better and you still ain't white, that still is a problem. All in all, I just want to encourage you with those 2 points today. In order to show true faith, you do what you can and then you release the control. Meditate on it. And you can't serve two masters. So wherever you have a war within yourself, that's your point that you should be working on. Whatever it is, that is a war within yourself. You need to have balance. And we need to keep making progress. But we cannot do that if the things that we are interested in pursuing are not within the parameters that God gave us. You see, the thing about it is that in order to exist as a human being, you have to do things. That's why God gave us parameters. I always use the washing machine. In order for a washing machine to wash, you have to turn it on. It has a use. But if you go and you pour oil in that machine, it just might not work the same. Or, if you decide to put fire behind the control panel in order to try to get it to turn on instead of turning the button, it might not work. So at the end of the day, this is why we're given guidance. It's the same way like with children. We are God's children. We have children, so we understand they need guidance. Nowadays, people say children don't need guidance and are raising the most awful set of children that have ever stepped foot on the earth. Because they're letting them guide themselves when they don't have any experience. They have no experience with life. How would they be able to guide themselves? That's like dropping somebody in the Congo inside the jungle and telling them get back home to Barbados. It's impossible. It's impossible. They cannot do it without life experience or guidance. So don't tell me about a smartphone, because that would be a map and that would be guidance. Alright, I'm done rambling. Little thoughts to meditate on and think on. It's a beautiful day outside. Have a great day. I just want to clarify the point I made about people not liking labels but wanting to do something, what I was saying about Egypt and so on, right? You have a situation where people don't want to hear that what they're doing is ungodly, but yet they don't want to do what's socially unacceptable. So the godly thing to do might not match, for instance, with racism. So racism is ungodly, but it's socially acceptable to think that things that are lighter are better looking, or to not want to be associated with darkness in a lot of places, which is the point I was making about Egypt. Some people will come and want to try to fact check me in some way. What I'm trying to say to you is that if you're dealing with the Bible as your source, 3 brothers having children and the children are intermarrying, you're going to get children from everywhere coming in. Those are the facts. When you're not willing to process that, or when you want to suddenly believe that men bear children with no female partner who could have a different father or a different whatever, a different background, then that's exactly the point. You're moving away from the truth in order to create a narrative, and that creates this good and evil battle inside your body, and it stops you from knowing who you are. You see, the truth is always going to rise at some point in every aspect of everything. And if the truth is that we care more about what's socially acceptable, our own opinions, our own feelings, than what God said, that's going to rise too. And that's the thing for us personally as each individual to meditate on. What is the most important thing to me? Do I love truth? Do I have faith? Or am I trying to control the situation? It's all the same thing, serving 2 masters. Because you cannot tell God that you want His will and then just do your own. And that's my thing. At the end of the day, yes, we have to make decisions in our life. We have to live. But we can be willing to surrender even our mindset and say, listen, if I'm wrong, change me. If this is not the path, change my mind, because I'm going down this path thinking it's the right path. If you don't want me here, change my mind. Give your mind up. Be willing to have it manipulated by, and I shouldn't say manipulated, that should be adjusted by the Most High. It is our unwillingness to budge and our controlling manner and our use of free will and our God complex. We want to be in control. We want to say this. Nah. Although God must be admired and feared, we would never measure up. Stop. Our God complex is going to kill us all. Well, all of us that keep it. And these are the kind of things that we have to think on when we get advanced. When we start understanding how the world works, we become believers, we start seeing deeper things. It always then comes back to the individual. Because every single time that people get organized and they come together, certain people are humble and they allow other people to be too controlling. And the controlling people have a God complex. And the only thing they're interested in is telling you what to do, not doing what God said. They will even use having the ruse of saying what God says as an excuse to be more controlling. When we realize that because we are not made of what God is made of, having authority and controlling others is not the beautiful thing it is when He does it, because it's just bearing weight and responsibility when we really don't have control. Then we can let that go and let God. And this is an important lesson, because everybody want to disobey God's commandments and then say, oh, I'm a sinner, I can't get it right. But are you trying? Or are you making excuses? So much to think on. Enough love.